Consider supporting ArchaeoSoup on Patreon for as little as $1 per month. Link available in the video description. Thank you.
For today's In Focus, we travel to Germany and the site of Mittelberg in the Ziegelroder forest, 60 kilometers west of Leipzig. For it was here, in 1999, that two metal detectorists, Henry Westphal and Mario Renner, discovered treasure. A chisel, axe heads and bracelets were part of a Bronze Age hoard, along with two fine bronze swords and a curious bronze disc, around 30 centimeters or 12 inches in diameter, weighing around 2.2 kilograms or 4.9 pounds. It had a blue-green patina and was inlaid with symbols made of gold. The two men acted quickly. They were operating without a license and knew they were illegally looting. In their haste, they damaged the disc and the site with their spade. Legally, such artifacts are the property of the local authority. So the next day, the two men travelled to Cologne and sold the hoard for 31,000 Deutschmarks. In the following couple of years, the hoard was sold and resold, its price inflating to around 1 million Deutschmarks. By 2001, the existence of the hoard was public knowledge, and on the 23rd of February 2002, state archaeologist Harald Meller led a police sting operation in Basel, Switzerland. The hoard was recovered from a couple who had recently put it on the black market for 700,000 Deutschmarks. The investigation traced the original looters, and as part of a plea bargain, they led archaeologists to the original discovery site. An excavation was begun. Traces of bronze artifacts were uncovered, and the soil at the site matched samples still clinging to the hoard. The two looters were sentenced to prison for 4 and 10 months at Naumburg Court in September 2003. They attempted to appeal, but this only increased their sentences to 6 and 12 months. The site of the discovery was a prehistoric enclosure known as Mittelberg or Central Hill in the Ziegelroder forest. This area was settled around 7,000 years ago by farmers during the Neolithic and contains hundreds of barrows. The enclosure is situated such that during the summer and winter solstices, the sun sets behind the Brocken, the highest peak of the Harz Mountains, 80 kilometers to the northwest. The site was located close to the town of Nebra, and hence the disc in the hoard came to be known as the Nebra Sky Disk. The Nebra Sky Disk is a bronze disc inlaid with gold symbols, which are generally interpreted as the sun or the full moon, a lunar crescent, and stars. According to Meller's analysis, the disc likely had 4 key stages during its life. Stage 1. The disc had 32 small and 1 large golden circular plates attached, along with a crescent-shaped plate. The circular plate is thought to be the sun or the full moon, and the crescent shape is thought to be the crescent moon. The dots are thought to be stars, with the cluster of 7 representing the Pleiades or the 7 sisters. Stage 2. At some point, 2 arcs made from gold of a different origin were added to opposite edges of the disc. To make space for these, 1 star was moved from the left-hand side towards the centre, and 2 stars on the right-hand side were covered over, so that only 30 are still visible. Each arc spans 82 degrees of the circle, correctly indicating the position of sunrise and sunset at the summer and winter solstices at Mittelberg, where the disc was found. Stage 3 saw another golden arc from yet another source of gold added to the disk. This has various interpretations, potentially a solar barge invoking the movement of the sun through the sky. It could represent the Milky Way, or even a rainbow. Finally, before deposition, the disk also had 39 holes punched into the perimeter of the circle, each around 3 millimeters in diameter. This order of operations is confirmed where the golden arcs have been punctured by these holes, and at some point the disk lost one of the golden arcs. This was a truly remarkable artefact, and we'll think about its implications in a moment, but initially there were suspicions that this was in fact a forgery, as it represented an artistic style that hitherto had not been represented in the Bronze Age. In 2005, one archaeologist wrote to a German newspaper claiming that the green patina of the Nebra Sky Disk could be recreated in a relatively short amount of time using urine, hydrochloric acid, and a blowtorch. However, eventually he had to rescind his claims, as he had never examined the disk in person, unlike many other scientists. In a BBC documentary in 2004, then Professor of European History at the University of Bristol, Richard Harrison, said, "When I first heard about the Nebra disk, I thought it was a joke. Indeed, I thought it was a forgery, because it's such an extraordinary piece that it wouldn't surprise any of us that a clever forger had cooked this up in a back room and sold it for a lot of money." Meller pointed to admittedly circumstantial evidence that at the site a fragment of gold leaf matching up to a missing fragment on the sun disk had been recovered. But there was no denial. Dating this hoard securely would be crucial to accepting its authenticity. Archaeologists' attention turned to the other finds in the hoard, including the chisel, axe heads, bracelets, and swords. The axes and swords were dated by their design to the mid-2nd millennium BC. However, radiocarbon dating confirmed a particle of birch bark found on one of the swords was dated to between 1560 and 1600 BC. This date was further confirmed through microscopic analysis of corrosion crystals on the surface of the sky disk. In the words of Dr. Heinrich Wunderlich, "This cannot be made artificially. You can't fake time." And so the Nebra Sky Disk could finally be attributed to the site where it was found, crucially dating to around 1600 BC and produced by the Untitled culture. X-ray fluorescence analysis of the sky disk indicates that the copper for the disk originated in Austria, and the gold was thought to have come from the Carpathian Mountains. However, a recent analysis has shown that gold used in the first phase of the Nebra Sky Disk came from Cornwall in the UK, as did the tin, which mixed with copper to make bronze. Earlier this year, a relatively local Devon-based newspaper got very excited at the prospect of international Bronze Age connections. That said, though, Cornish tin had been travelling to the Middle East in the Bronze Age, but that's another story. The tale of the Nebra Sky Disk as an artefact so nearly lost in an illicit trade network is remarkable enough. As part of a Bronze Age hoard, evidence of a hitherto unproven art style, it is elevated. But as a portable instrument, allowing measurements and calculations regarding the movement of the sun throughout the year, it is truly incredible. It is an extension of monumental efforts linked with the passage of the sun, such as Stonehenge. And crucially, it works best where it was found, not only tying it to the site of Nebra, reminding us of the importance of latitude in astronomical observations. Incidentally, Nebra sits at 51 degrees north. But also, this artefact is a key reminder of the importance of context for understanding
an artefact beyond its intrinsic value. The metal value is one thing, and the artistic value is another, but this as an artefact whose story can only be understood specifically in relation to its context in the landscape, highlights the importance of proper archaeological excavation techniques and the dangers of illegal metal detecting and looting. Today, the disc is part of a permanent exhibition at the Halle State Museum of Prehistory, and a multimedia visitor centre was opened near the site of the discovery in Nebra in 2007. But also in June 2013, the Nebra Sky Disk was included in the UNESCO Memory of the World Register. This is a compendium of documents, manuscripts, oral traditions, audiovisual materials, library materials, and archival holdings of universal value to humanity. Definitely worth more than a few 100,000 Deutschmarks, and now, in addition to its remarkable self, imbued with a story of rediscovery, which is well worth reflecting upon.